All right. Happy 2023. Little intro music there. I feel like maybe I'm in the dentist or doctor's office, but we're in the Handshake office. Our monthly State of the Blockchain Twitter space. Handshake.mastermind is the domain. You can always, on Handshake, you can always find our archives of, I believe all of them are there. And I hope my phone sticks with it because my Android's flickering already. So thank you, Anne. And you should also, say a little bit yourself. She's our trusted operator of this Twitter space, running the SkyInclude account. I'm Mike Michelini. Also, I host some of the videos on SkyInclude you might see. And we got a few things going on at Handshake that I know of. And this is meant to be a platform. This is meant to be a community event. It's obviously an open protocol blockchain. So anybody here, raise your hand or DM me or Ann or SkyInclude to come up and share. We want to be as neutral and supportive of anything related to Handshake or the decentralized web and let everyone have their own voice to share. So I have a few items on my list to keep everybody active here. Impervious, as always, is delivering and building. Really appreciative of the Impervious team. They had a pretty nice little update. I still didn't finish a YouTube video for SkyInclude yet, but I'll share some of the things I'm noticing in their update. That's one on my list. The HNS Twitter account handle is reactivated. I'll share some of the discussions and thoughts of that. Zach at the Shake has picked up the reins there, and there's a good and a bad of that. I think it's mostly good, but we can share some of the other sides of that. That's another topic. We also have our Flamingo Handshake auction coming up. We try to keep it monthly. We took a little bit of a break for the holidays, but that will be on Wednesday, January 25th, same time as usual, 4 p.m. Pacific. So we'll share some of that. HandyCon, we're it's 2 months away. We haven't talked about it too much, but it will start to be getting pushed out. We did some surveys. We've been hearing from different people. We picked some dates. So we'll share some of the updates there and how you can get involved. And as far as other points, I have just kind of maybe talk about some conceptual things, unless of course we want to have the community here sharing, but if it's quiet, I'll share some kind of a more abstract thoughts of how I see the decentralized web. I'm deep down the rabbit hole of the AI. I think a lot of you are with ChatGPT coming out. So I'll share some ideas I have of how AI and decentralized web could kind of grow together. So that's my list of agenda items. And again, everybody here is welcome to come up on stage at any point. So I'll just go down my list. Actually, and if you see some tweets, there's also, I'm going to try to pin, and if you can help me pin on this Twitter space. I'm trying to improve my Twitter spaces ability, but we can pin tweets on the screen. So as you're looking at this on your phone, you can see it. I try to put some tweets on the thread, one of the SkyInclude Twitter threads. So, Anne, I don't know if you're able to pin those while I'm talking, would be great. So first, Impervious. I know some people have mixed feelings about some of the, previous issues, maybe with some things in the community, but I'm a big supporter of Impervious just because they're building and creating. I don't like to get political. I like people that take action and build and develop things. So I'm a supporter of what Impervious is building, and they came out with a great update just in January 4th with a few different updates. I'm gonna find it on my Twitter here. So I'll read the tweet. I haven't yet gotten a chance to make a tutorial, but they did a whole bunch of updates. Personalized TLD landing pages, one-click staking with Bob Wallet extension, custom NFT metadata, and forever domains integration is their tweet. And I read their docs, and I got actually, I haven't yet implemented it. I staked, or SkyInclude staked .omen. We're one of the first TLDs to stake there. And we got some great, I think we raised about a half of ETH in sales on .omen there, which is pretty exciting. So the first one is personalized TLD landing pages. So if you want to check it out, you can go to impervious.domains/TLD/the TLD that you want to see. So I haven't done it for Omen, honestly. I want to make it for Omen, but I'm still learning how to do it, to be very honest. I'm not so technical. So there's a tutorial, there's a document of how to do it, but you can put /forever if you want to see how it could look. And so if you go impervious.domain/TLD/forever, there's two different things you can change. One is the icon. So it looks kind of like OpenSea to me. So you can change your icon to have, so they have the Forever Domains icon, and then you can change your background that's on the top of the page so that you can customize this to look like your own branding. So again, I can't share video that I'm aware of on Twitter Space, but if you type in that URL, so this gives you a little bit more control or customization to how you present this to your potential decentralized SLD customers. So that's the first. The second is the one-click staking with Bob Wallet. I haven't tested that one, but the idea is it just makes it even easier for you to stake your TLD using the Bob Wallet Chrome extension, just to be clear. And then the third point is custom NFT metadata. So the way I read this in the docs is you could customize how your data will look in OpenSea around the metadata in the Ethereum blockchain. So that I know in ENS domains, they like to customize their backgrounds and customize how it looks. And that's how I've interpreted that. And then the fourth is the Forever Domains integration. So before, actually, I'm pretty amazed it could do that because I'm learning too. I'm a student of this as much as many. But I thought that the Forever Domains contract was like a separate Ethereum contract, but maybe there's a way to move it, and they did it. I mean, they have some great developers there. So that means if you log into your Impervious Domains account with your Ethereum wallet, you'll see your .forever domains. I will make a tutorial about this. It's been on my list. I drafted up a blog post. I just haven't recorded. But I have a few .forevers, so now I see it in my Impervious account. Before it was separate. You had to go to foreverdomains.io. So they brought those two together. One thing I'm excited for is if TLD owners could do lifetime like .forever does. I could assume maybe there's going to be an update. That's my assumption. If they could bring the .forever, which is lifetime these, I'm sure then I feel sure that they should be able to make it where other TLD owners could do a lifetime potentially on their TLDs. So that's the first update that I have on my list today, and I'm excited. I always appreciate what they're building there at Impervious. So that's the first item on my agenda. The second one is the reviving of the HNS Twitter account. It's obviously a really powerful one. I think I'm not even sure how the blockchain, how Handshake got that. It's a three character, Twitter handle, HNS. And it's been inactive for a couple of years. And there's been various debates. I've been part of those debates. I've had my input on those. So I know a lot of times we see it in Telegram groups and other places, new potential investors or new potential people to the Handshake blockchain complain, why is a Twitter not active? Is this project dead? Because I think a lot of people, as part of their due diligence or part of their research, they look at the Twitter account of the protocol, which is linked in like CoinGecko and linked a lot of places, but it hasn't been active for many years. And the reason is, Handshake wants to be as close to how Bitcoin has been done, to be truly decentralized community. There's no central foundation, no central leadership. So there was always conflict about who would have control of the HNS Twitter account. But there was some proposal. I saw some group chats in a Telegram and other places of reviving it and having Zach Brown, the founder and operator of The Sheik, which is the top newsletter and blog and Twitter account for the Handshake community, and he does an amazing job. And I'm not sure exactly how that discussion started, but the community really reacted to that. And he made his first couple of tweets just the last day or so. I'm going to try to figure out how to pin while I'm talking, but hopefully I don't crash it. But I think it's a good one, although if you read the thread, most people are happy about it. Some people are saying, oh, it should be clear who's the person tweeting, what's their agenda. I know a lot of us don't trust anyone. I mean, that's why we're in crypto. But, I don't think it's a secret. Zach is the one operating it from the Shake. I think he'll be as neutral as possible. I know it's hard. I've learned it's also hard to be neutral, but I trust that he will do the right thing for the community at large. I know some people in the thread think that whoever it is, might use it to their, what's that? It's like the Lord of the Rings, like with great power, or as Spider-Man, great power comes great responsibility. I feel comfortable with him to be the one to share that. I think he shared about an HSD update that just happened. So you can follow the HNS Twitter if you're not already, and it looks like I think will be some regular updates on that. And okay, I'm going to just get the hang of pinning again. Share. I shared in Circus. I'm just looking now for things to pin. But that's the update. So just to go through the two different agendas. One was the Impervious update. The second now is the HNS Twitter account getting revived. And some people don't know who it is. Maybe some feedback for Zach or them is maybe in the bio of the HNS Twitter, it could just disclose that who's the person tweeting. That could be an idea, because some people aren't aware of who's operating it, and I've seen some questions coming up from that. So that's just maybe one suggestion or idea. And the next update I have is, of course, actually, I didn't get a chance to check the results, but Namebase had an auction on their Discord earlier this week on the 9th, which is great to see. Anybody can have an auction or a live auction. So that's one. And I've also heard, I think with Steve Mackey, I saw on a Telegram say that FX Wallet is going to be doing something with auctions. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't seen an announcement from that, but it's great to see more auctions coming. The Flamingo Handshake auction will be on January 25th at the same time as usual, 4 p.m. Pacific, California time. It'll be in the morning in Asia for me, 8 a.m. in Thailand, I believe, or 7 a.m. And okay, I'm just getting these tweets. But if anybody wants to raise their hand or come up on stage, we're welcoming anybody to comment on these different updates that I've been sharing or anything else. So the Flamingo Handshake auction, save the date. And then the other big one is, and I think maybe we can spend some time on it. We haven't really been so public about it, but HandyCon, it will be happening again, 3rd annual. We're getting some people already applying to be speakers and some potential sponsors. Nothing's confirmed yet, but the biggest is, I think, picking the dates. And we did run a survey since December. I know some people maybe not be happy with the dates. We're trying to, it's impossible to keep everybody happy, but we're picking the dates of March. We like March because that's when the first one and the second one have been. So we think it's a good time to do it. And I'm just making sure I don't say the wrong date because it's been going back and forth with dates. March 8th to the 10th. So that's a Wednesday, a Thursday, and a Friday. And it's going to, honestly, we're still working on the agenda, but it's going to be focused still to be an online event. And we do want to add some offline elements. I think I got to make it completely confirmed, but I believe Noel has confirmed he can help out in Austin, Texas with some local meetup during the HandyCon. So people that are in Austin or want to go to Austin for it can hang out with other Handshake enthusiasts. And we're not going to get so strict, but I think the requirement is at least have a screen showing we'll still use AirMeet. I know there's some flaws with AirMeet, but honestly, we have a lifetime account, so that helps, and we know how to use it. So it'll be on AirMeet like the last two. And so the requirement to run a local meetup is just have a screen that shows the AirMeet. Have an internet connection with a screen, maybe a restaurant or bar, or your house. We don't want you to spend too much money, but we might ask you if you're willing to do it, or we could pay for it. Put some banners up, would be kind of cool. But we wanted to do it last year. We didn't have a chance to do it this year. We don't want to put too much pressure on it, especially with COVID still kind of lingering. But the idea is we want to try to have local chapter groups. So if you have a city you're in and you want to try, I'll try to do it in Thailand. Well, honestly, we're thinking about doing an actual full-on offline event somewhere, but maybe 2024 could be in person. But this could make a step towards it. So I'll do something here in where I am in Chiang Mai. If you want to come hang out with me in Chiang Mai, I'll figure out a way to make that work. I think Ann, I think Ann's coming. Ann, you gonna come with me? Oh, there you go. Thanks for sharing, pinning the tweets.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe,
But looking forward to.
or you could do something in the Philippines. I know it might be hard for us as we're main organizers to also have some offline element, but yeah, we encourage anyone here to message us if you'd like to be helping do some offline element, or even join us. Come to Thailand, come to Philippines, come to Austin with Noel. I think it's kind of a cool idea. And I still want this to be free. I don't want to charge admission to HandyCon. I also don't want to, keep the content behind a paywall. So we will record everything. We will put everything online. I think we're going to even do even more online marketing, online content. Actually, a lot of people don't know what I do for a living. We have a team of like 12 or 15 people, and we mostly do content marketing, in-app marketing, e-commerce selling is how we pay our bills. So, we just want to kind of use this to make tons of content for Handshake. So the idea is everything will be free, but we might have some VIP tickets or some sponsor tickets. We're thinking, because a lot of the community doesn't maybe want to be a huge sponsor or doesn't have a budget to be a huge sponsor. So we might have something where we have like a donor wall page. And if people donate a certain amount, they could have their name or logo on this page. That way we can kind of mix the idea of free and open for everyone, but a way for those that are willing or able to contribute to do so and be recognized for that. So I think that's the idea. So we have handycon.xyz. I know Erwin and I think Steve Mackey got the .com. We already started building on XYZ. I think .com forwards to it. If you want to check it out, it's handycon.xyz. And the idea is what we did, we spent a lot of time the last few months. We took the previous 2 years and we put them on subdomains. So if you look at 2021.handycon.xyz, you'll see the first one's page. If you look on 2022 subdomain.handycon.xyz, you will see last year's HandyCon and everything. And this year, if you go 2023.handycon.xyz, you'll see this year's, and this year's will be even more content. So we're going to build out a full page for every single session where we'll embed the recording once it's done. We'll showcase sponsors even more. We'll showcase speakers on a full page, each speaker, as well as we'll have a speakers page, a sponsors page, contact page. Basically, we're going to build out a full site. Last two were just single page sites, but Anne loves Handshake. I love Handshake. Our team is aware of how to do this. So we're going to build out a full site this year for the HandyCon. And we have 2 months. So 2 months from today, it'll be actually over. So we have less than 2 months until it happens. So the way right now we're mostly focusing on speakers and sponsors. And I guess one big open question, I see Fistful here, what's up? Yeah, he helped so much last year. It's great to have you here. I know you're gonna contribute a bit this year. Last year's was a little bit more developer focused. And I think people felt like the first year's was a little bit more marketing focused. So I think one question that we have is what kind of content do we want as a community? Do we want to be more technical or more marketing and business? I know we kind of try to balance both. But if you want to share that either publicly today or let us know. We also have some forums and surveys where we're collecting the feedback, and we have an open speaker forum. We really try to invite and welcome anyone that wants to share. We've gotten some new people I've never even heard of that already fill out the speaker form. So you should see the speaker form at handycon.xyz. We really try to be inclusive. I know there's some people that think we pick favorites in the auctions or in the events, but we really just try to find the most relevant, best speakers and presenters that we can get. And we actually really, while we like the kind of the famous people, I think my favorite is the grassroots developers, the grassroots builders. I think my favorite part about HandyCon every year is to showcase all the things that this amazing decentralized community is doing and building. I think, Our friend Johnny Wu was even amazed. He would meet people he didn't know when he was at Namebase that were building. That's what's great. There's no permission. Anybody can build on this protocol without having to go through a foundation or a team or a proposal process. So if you have ideas of speakers, of content that you would like to have at this event, we'll leave the air meet open the whole. If you notice, we said 3 days. It's kind of ambitious, but the last two ones were 2 days. But we are trying to get even better. I think Akash said last time they would support more this time if we give them more notice. We want to involve other protocols. It's not just inclusive of Handshake. I'd even like to bring it up today, but I think I like to invite quote unquote competing name spaces to our events. We had the fun one with Brantley a couple of years. The first one, Brantley was on a panel. I know some people in the community to say not to invite these kind of competing namespaces, but my vote, to be honest, is to welcome these other. I know, especially now, there's so many more since they started, right? There's so many more competing or alternative naming solutions. But I welcome them. I try to cover them personally on SkyInclude YouTube to just understand it even more. So my vote is to invite some of these. Maybe we have, of course, not the whole events, but maybe a couple panels with some different naming solutions just to hear from them. Also, fun fact, Tom at Encirca filled out a sponsor form, and he's actually sponsored last year's too. And he looks like he will be sponsoring this year again. Thank you, Tom at Encirca. It's not confirmed, but I believe he'll contribute in some way. But he also told us when we're confirming his speaker, he wants to speak on March 8th because he will be going to an ICANN meeting, which happens right after this HandyCon dates. I think he says it's March 11th to the 12th, and am I right? Or something like this. Basically, there's some kind of a big ICANN in-person event, which dates are right. We didn't pick this based on that, but he told us, right? And well, can you clarify, or if you're willing?
To the 16th.
Do you know more about that? I don't have more info.
I believe it's in Cancun.
Oh, wow. Fancy. So just a little fun fact there. Tom let us know. So maybe we'll make this HandyCon loud enough that will hear about it at their event right afterwards. But they definitely know about Handshake. There's no question in my mind that they know Handshake exists. They wrote a white paper and Handshake about alternative naming solutions, and Handshake was named multiple times in that white paper. They've been at NamesCon. They definitely know we as a community and protocol exist, but maybe they'll hear even more after this. So have I inspired anybody else to get the courage to come up? And I know this makes I'm nervous up here, but I see some great people in the audience. Does anybody want to share or ask something? I do have a couple more. I can keep rambling, but I'm just trying to make this an open platform. And let me know if I'm not always looking at my screen, so if you could help me, tell me. Another one is our friend dot.lgit, LGIT. I don't know. I know there's a lot of anonymous people, so I don't want to say more, but it's independent from me. I'm not associated or affiliated with them, but I know they're going to be releasing their TLD soon. I think it's with Varro Domains, although I'm not totally sure. But he's been really active in Twitter and supportive of what we do here, and I always appreciate him, sharing and commenting. So I've noticed his tweets more. So I think the .lgit domain will go live soon. Okay, great. I see more pinned tweets. Thank you, Anne. So I don't know if everybody's watching, but there's pinned tweets. Yep. So I'll be buying a .lgit. I can't buy a SLD of everybody's TLD. I'm sorry. I am a customer of a lot of the TLDs, but there's just so many now. I don't want to promise. If I don't buy your DSLD or SLD, don't hate me. Oh, cool. He's coming up.
Yeah,
Awesome, you're here.
just had a quick question. I'm looking at the questionnaire for the HandyCon survey for 2023. Is there going to actually be a live in-person event in Miami?
Oh, there was a little bit of Sorry, there's so much stuff we're doing. So the story, I'll just, there's no secrets. I had to call Jahan. Jahan, as you know, is a supporter of Handshake, Jahan Chu at blank in Kinetic Capital. So the story of HandyCon was, I had him on the Global from Asia podcast, and then he said we should do an event. I said, okay, and then we just did it within 2 or 3 weeks notice. So when I had a talk with him, I think it was in December or November of 2022 about the third annual, he says, oh, we should do one in Miami. And then I don't want to say it, but I'm a little bit conservative because I know how much work an in-person event is. But there was he brought it up to me on a call, and I just feel like that's too much of a commitment unless you or somebody else here wants to, and it's a financial risk too. So there was a discussion, but I feel like that's a little bit too much for at least me. I'm trying my best to be active in the community, but like I said, I'm an Amazon seller, e-commerce business person, and I can't commit to it in person, Miami, unless somebody here wants to. So I'm sorry if there's still showing on the form, but it was at least a discussion that we were entertaining in the end of 2022. Jahan's great. He's a very big supporter. He didn't say a standalone event. He said, oh, maybe we could do it in Miami if we can, because there's lots of these crypto events and happening in Miami. And I think he's also near Miami. And he says it could piggyback off maybe an existing event before or after an existing kind of crypto event in Miami. But at this point, I think with 2 months to go, I don't think that's feasible at this point. But maybe we could keep it on a wish list for 2024. That's why I kind of said to do chapter events. So if somebody's in Miami or wants to help in Miami, we could kind of have this hybrid. But my vision of HandyCon is even if we did have in person, I don't know if it could be totally free, but at least have the online element free so that people could tune in online. I personally want to try to keep this as like a open and free event. So I hope that answers your question. Sorry for the confusion. Maybe Annie, remove that from the form when you get a chance.
Well, maybe next year. Definitely have to plan
Yeah, I
that
would love it.
way in advance. Maybe like November. I have no idea how to like plan this kind of stuff, but I would like an in-person thing because I feel like one, I mean, talking to people face to face, you get a lot of miscommunications cleared up immediately. And the other thing is you can rate on ideas so much faster than you can on Discord and Telegram because people have lives. They're like going online, offline, in between whatever they're doing. So, yeah.
True. I mean, we do in-person events for other kind of industries. Actually, we're planning one for November called Cross Border Summit, more on the e-commerce side. We've done 5 of them. But the biggest, at least my opinion, the biggest challenge of an in-person is the actual location. And you got to usually put money down pretty early to lock it in. And then that, of course, creates a commitment and a little bit of a pressure on the event, whereas online, of course, is semi-lower pressure of the financial side. So, and then it will bring up the question of how do we raise money to do that? I guess would be purely sponsors or the community, sponsors, and then free, or there probably have to be some kind of a ticket fee, right? I can't imagine it'd be a totally, because even just, so those are some thoughts, at least in my mind, as organizing other in-person events. Of course, and then we have NamesCon. It's not like we organize it, but we're friends with, Sarin, one of the organizers, and he's also active and contributes in Handshake. And he is also, we had a whole full track for it one year. And I know Noel did a lot of amazing things. A lot of you were there for the NamesCon. So then if we started having a HandyCon in person and then there's this existing NamesCon in person, I guess there's room for both, but it's also like how big of a, it's just some things to think about. But I do agree. I mean, I would love to meet. I agree. It would help a lot to meet in person, everyone, or as many people. But then also the question is where, right? Because actually, one thing I like about Handshake is it's pretty global. I mean, we noticed that with last HandyCon with the time zones. There's people, and I think Johnny sent all the speakers some free swag from Namebase, and he commented that more than half was sent outside of the US for the speakers. So then it would be like a question of where to do it, and then could people enter that location easily? So, I guess if people like this offline idea, I do too. Maybe we could try with these local chapter gatherings. I think we're gonna have one in London. There's at least discussions of one in London, one in Austin. It seems like I'm committed to Thailand. So it's kind of covering at least the three, major sides of the globe. I'm sure maybe we can get something in Australia. I know there's some great contributors like Erwin and others. I don't want to put you on the spot, but maybe this could be like a hybrid model. Honestly, I love the hybrid model because then imagine we could kind of share screens of people, a group of people in a certain location, and then they could maybe even introduce themselves on camera, right? But I do agree with Paul. I mean, I would love to have in person, and I'm willing to contribute or help or, whatever if somebody has that motivation. So thank you for that. But dot.lgit or Paul, do you guys have any updates about, I know you're both building things. Do you want to share, plug, or promote anything you're working on?
Hey, Mike. Thanks for
Hey,
everything, by the way.
sure.
This is Kirk Salen. I go by both Kirk Salen on Twitter and .legit.
Great.
So hi everybody. We're super excited about launching on Varro. That's coming up very, very soon for SLDs. We're also launching a full line for Legit as a lifestyle brand, and more information is going to be coming about that as well. So hopefully it's going to be something that will reach out beyond the existing Handshake community and bring more people in. That's the goal at least. But we are very, very excited about what's going on in the community and glad to be a part.
Excited. That's really great. Yeah, Varro Domains is great. Do you want to maybe share some of the thought process of choosing a registrar to stake with? I mean, I know we chat about it privately, but I think it would be exciting and helpful probably for other listeners. Because I think as TLD owners on Handshake, we have a few choices. So I'd love to hear if you're willing to share some of your thought process of staking. We call it staking.
Certainly. Yeah, there's a lot of choices out there. And of course, Jordan, who created Varro, has been pretty amazing for the community. And we're super excited to be working with him. And you know what? He is fast to move to make changes to things and improve stuff and is very innovative. And we just felt like it was the best fit for legit. And there's been some issues with some of the other registrars. They seem to be kind of big and slow moving sometimes, and we love the nimble ability of Varro. And it wasn't an easy decision because there's so many things that are coming up with the decentralized SLDs that are being talked about, and with Impervious' solution, and there's a lot of different options out there. But we're very excited about working with Varro.
All right, thanks. I'm pinning your latest tweets, or at least the graphic. What is
Appreciate
legit
that.
LGIT? Nice little
Yes.
graphic there. So if people on the space could see that one. I don't know if you want to share some of your strategies for launching. You're mentioning merchandise, or am I calling it correctly? But
That's right. Yeah.
also
Yeah.
as a learning experience for everybody.
So we were actually, I work with two other people who are very talented, and we're trying to build something that is going to bring more people into the community. So Legit is all about individuality and expressing yourself and who you are, what makes you legit. Like everybody has that thing that helps them to stand out, and that's their legit. So one of our taglines is "You are legit," and I very lucky to have the ability to work with a really talented designer who is making some amazing swag for us. We're going to be launching that really soon. And the SLDs, of course, on Varro will be available soon. So yeah, it's centered all upon, individuality, which I think is a great fit for SLDs because it's going to become everybody's online ID, right? And so it's all about how you express yourself and how you want to be seen. And that's kind of what Legit is all about.
Okay, great. Do you have a date? I don't know, dates are hard.
Dates are hard. I just got back into the country actually. The date that we had set for launch was the 14th. Hopefully we will stay on track with that. Most things are ready to go. Maybe within a few days of that, but I will be announcing that officially on Twitter, hopefully very, very soon what the exact date's going to be. But thanks for all
Awesome.
your
Thank you.
support, Mike. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kirk. Yeah, it's good to know. I always try my best not to dox people. I know some people like to be anonymous, so great to be able to, connect a name with the account. But yeah, wish you well with the launch, and thanks for thanks for what you do for Handshake.
I appreciate everything you do for Handshake, Mike. Thank you. This is a great community, and I feel really fortunate to be a part of it.
Sure. And then I don't want, do you have a pricing plan? Or I mean, I guess I feel
Sure.
I'll get one for sure. But for people listening, is there some budget they
Yeah,
should get ready for?
it's been an interesting discussion that's been going on online about people changing prices and stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And we're trying to hit more on the premium side, and so the price is going to be a little bit higher than average. It seems like from what I'm looking at that the average price is somewhere around $10, $11, and we're going to be around 29. And so it's going to be a little bit more. And hopefully, we're going to back that up with enough value so that people will see that it's worth it. And then at that price point, we shouldn't have to have any kind of adjustments, and that price will just stay there for as long as people hold the names.
All right. I'm curious. I just value add. I mean, if you could give me I have some ideas of what that means. I don't know if for also listeners, do you have some ideas of value add?
We are building that out, and mostly it's going to be we're hoping to build this into a community where people can like legit will be recognizable, so that somebody can say you're legit, you are part of this community, and there's value within that, and connecting people also with the lifestyle and fashion arms of the brand that will help to build the community together as well. So it's all a work in progress, and hopefully we will be unfolding a lot of that soon. You'll be able to see some of the design and some of the ways that this is being built very soon.
Great. Thanks for those. That's a good point. And then, yeah, you made me think of HNS Chat, which is also built by Jordan, or the same
Hmm.
developer at Varro Domains. Like, that was over a year ago when it came out. And it's also
Right.
gives the idea that you can create community if you have certain TLDs. You have to have an SLD on that TLD to enter that chat room or that room. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I think it's clear for a lot of us one difference of, not decentralized, but maybe Web3, I don't even know what to call them, decentralized domains versus maybe traditional domains is the user ID ability or the gating of access and content for those members or communities, like you said, of that TLD, like .lgit, to get access to this community, to get access to this content, to this chat, you need to have a domain or a username or an identity in this TLD, which is great to hear you're working on.
Yeah, that's one of the first things we did was set up a room at HNS Chat. So we're excited about that. And honestly, the more things that come online, obviously, for the use of these names, the better. And that's kind of hopefully one of the things we're going to do as well, is as part of our website have as much information on there as possible to allow people to see how powerful these domains are, what the different uses are and what the different resources are. And that's something that I'm kind of polishing up right now, and that's going to be evolving as Handshake evolves. But we want to be a source where people can go to figure out, what you can use all of these SLDs for, and how they work, and that kind of stuff. And so that's another thing that I'm working on right now. But the more people that get in and explain things and get the word out, the better for the whole community.
It's a great. Paul, he just sent a tweet. I don't, at least hit my phone. He says he had to leave for dinner, but he says his update is his registry platform he's been working on. I know he's been working hard on this. Is 80% done. It's a public tweet I'm just reading. Aiming for beta launch in a few months. Have people with great TLDs lined up to be the first customers. Exciting, exciting, exciting to see a lot of great things. Even in this bear market, we are like you, Kirk, and Paul, and everyone is building. I remember it made me think of a tweet from our critic Brantley. he put a tweet. I think a lot of you might remember that one, like 3-4 months ago, sharing the mining stats of Handshake, saying, is this thing still like going?" Something like that. Well, yeah, we're all still going. In that same tweet, I replied. He didn't reply to me. I says, "Do you want to speak at HandyCon 2023?" That was my response. But it's great. We're all building, and I think that's what they say about bear markets, which is clearly what we're in. Is bear markets are for builders, and it's great to see our community here building. So again, there's really great people in this room right now. It's an open floor. I saw some requests and then they disappeared, at least on my phone. I don't know if Ann saw those, but please raise your hand, request. We're in 45 minutes though. Maybe at the hour mark, if there's not much other people, we can kind of wrap up. But I could kind of do some of my, maybe I'll call it dreamscaping or futuristic thinking. Like I said, if I have time, I can share about some of this AI stuff I've been learning. I think a lot of you have been on the OpenGPT. Oh, I see a request. Great. Or Ann's got that. But I'll just put my one plug. And I think I learned a lot from Steve Mackey. He's a very intelligent person. And I saw one of his tweets too. But the idea is we think of something, we can make it real, right? The idea of AI is I think something, like Elon Musk's neural net. I think something in my mind. I don't even need to, in the future, we don't have to type it. We don't have to say it. You just think it and it can come, right? So we could just put that on one of, each domain could be one of our projects, our thoughts, our pieces of our brain, our mind is just public. And you just have this easy human readable domain rather than a wall address or a IP address. And I could just have tons and tons of my projects, my ideas on these various domains. I also don't need to worry about censorship from governments or banks or politicians or whoever to take down my contents. I can just think something and just put it onto a domain in the cloud, in a decentralized cloud on a decentralized domain. That's kind of I could kind of ramble about that for a while, but that's been going through my mind. But Ascend domains just came up. I'd love to hear some updates from you.
Hey guys, this is Dean from Ascend Domains, and I think that you've just talked about my biggest problem there is every thought I have turns into a domain, so I have thousands. But
exactly.
I'm wondering, I don't know, a few months ago there was some talk from someone at Firefox, or I guess I'm wondering if anyone knows about any updates about native incorporation of HNS into the big browsers. Like I think Opera was working on something. There was some vague mention, I think, from Firefox. Does anyone know about the status of any of this? Because that's really the big hurdle, I think, for HNS to take off, really.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree. I do agree about browser integrations. Some of you know me. I've kind of had some pretty public Twitter burnouts with Brendan at Brave, at least in my opinion. But they're definitely the gatekeepers. I'll say that. You can say it's also going to help us to grow and get adoption, but they're also kind of like the main firewall or the main blocker of main users being able to see our ideas and our content, but I mean, unfortunately, there's things I know that I don't know if I should really share totally publicly. That's my dilemma as I hear things that
this
I don't
isn't
know
public. It's just me and you. Well, there's not actually that many of us here.
The Opera thing, I even was on some call, 1 or 2 calls. I got invited from the DUF Foundation, group to join Opera calls. It seems like, I'll just say there's some miscommunication, I'll just say that, about Opera's crypto browser versus normal browser. And I think it's Opera themselves, but they maybe think it's the Handshake side of miscommunication. But I don't know if you have an opinion, but would you want Handshake to be integrated on Opera crypto only, or wouldn't you want it to also work on Opera
I want it to
normal
work
browser?
Everywhere.
Yeah.
I want it to work on the normal browser. I mean,
yeah, so
let's be
the
honest
Opera
with
side
ourselves
was
here.
saying
If
that
these don't work,
no, our integration agreement or understanding was Opera crypto. I think the community kind of knows. The UF Foundation was, It was $150,000 to integrate with Opera. And they said, oh, that's Opera crypto, not Opera normal. So we're like, oh, that we're not paying for Opera crypto. We don't even know what the hell crap that crypto is. Like, we want.
Yeah, like we got to be honest with ourselves here. If HNS is not natively incorporated into the major browsers, then it's never going to take off, because the general public is not going to make extra efforts to put in plugins and whatnot to resolve these things.
I do understand, Dean. And, there's been this on and off drama with, I'm at Brave, but I'm begged by a lot of people not to here on his call problems. But it seems like he says that we can make a pull request once, and then another time he said that he would talk to Matt Zipkin about it. He even I think he even said his username or his full name. He's like, we'll work closely to accelerate the integration of Brave with Handshake. I mean, he's very well aware of it. But as Firefox, I can't say I've heard any discussions about Firefox's integration with agents. Of course, maybe I didn't hear everything. But I guess I'm going to say, I don't know, it's not good to say I but the world is going more and more to pushing us to decentralized. I think Looks Rare just got deleted on Twitter. Looks Rare is like the second biggest NFT platform, got deleted on Twitter yesterday or something. And I know, unfortunately, there's like a lot of people don't like certain people that get deleted on Twitter that have big followings, but Andrew Tate got deleted off, I think his website, one of his websites got deleted. And of course, when Donald Trump was kicked off Twitter, a lot of Handshake was trying to kind of get him to notice Handshake. But I think there's going to be more and more censorship on the current internet. And I think maybe this will accelerate more and more this year. But I think what Handshake, Mike Carson said it from Impervious. I think a lot of us agree. It's a chicken or the egg problem. But if you have the killer app that's only working on Handshake and you need Handshake to use it, and the users want that app or that website, the browsers will have to do it, or some browser will integrate with it, and then people will use that browser. So then if the current browsers don't want to use that integration, but I kind of am more on the side of, rather than begging these browsers and paying these browsers, like, of course we all know about Unstoppable, and their whole idea is they just raise money and pay off all these integrations and just pay them, right? They paid Brave, they paid all those. They paid them all, Yat. I don't know if people even remember what Yat was. Yat paid.
No.
Yeah, they don't even know what they are right there. Some of you might remember them, but they're basically gone now. But they just paid for integrations, right? They raised money and they paid for integrations, and they're basically, they're kind of around, but they're basically gone, whereas we're still here. But yeah, browser integration, of course,
like that
top
idea,
request.
what you said.
Oh, go ahead. Dean, go ahead.
I like that idea, what you said. It's another way to do it is just make it so that the browsers can't afford not to add HNS. Of course, that's a lot easier said than done. But, if there is something possible to be created where it makes it, so demanded that they can't afford not to, that's definitely another way to go about.
I think what's going to happen, I don't want to be like a negative naysayer kind of person, but it is kind of, investing in decentralized internet right now is kind of like a hedge against the current internet. But I really believe DeFi is going to get more and more censored and regulated. And, it's kind of hypocritical, in my opinion, to have decentralized finance on a centralized infrastructure. We've seen I can't remember off the top of my head, but there's been at least a few DNS hacks where they get the Web2 domain somehow through like either tricking GoDaddy, or even, I think, obviously we'd like Namecheap here on Handshake because they support us a lot, but I think even Namecheap might have had an issue. But basically what these hackers do is they don't hack with technology, they hack with humans, and they get through the customer support of GoDaddy, and they convince them to change their DNS because they say, oh, I can't update my DNS, or can you help me, or something. They basically human, through customer support of these call centers, get them, because basically a centralized domain means that registrar or anybody in that whole stack can edit your domain setting. So there's stories. I'm not off the top of my head, but a couple of these decentralized finance projects where they get the DNS changed and people lose money because the hacker changes it to something that goes to their wallet. And so that's one risk of using a Web2 domain for DeFi. And the other risk is censorship. I think Tether just got blocked in Canada or on crypto.com. I mean, I didn't read the full news, but I think these governments are going to go more and more bankrupt, and it's very clear to me, and they're going to be looking for ways to get either tax or income or regulations on these crypto exchanges. I mean, I just feel like any smart decentralized finance project should be building on a Web3 or a decentralized domain and decentralized hosting solution. And I think that's just going to continue to happen, whether they do it to be proactive or reactive. But there's a lot of cases of these domains getting taken away. People often say to me, "Oh, Mike, hosting I can see getting taken down. I don't see domains getting taken down." I'm like, I've seen at least 5 or 10 in the last year or two since I've been really following it more closely. I should keep a journal of that to make me think. But so then when these decentralized finance, actually a lot of people use a VPN. People use VPNs because they're blocked in the US or they're blocked in certain countries. So they're geo-blocked. So then people learn how to use a VPN because they're blocked. But then when the domain gets taken off because the government tells that domain company or registrar or registry or anybody in that stack to take that guy offline, that's going to happen more and more. I don't think it's going to get less and less. I think it's going to get more and more. So I'm more on the side of the grassroots because I've been too frustrated. I don't know. I've kind of gotten some public burned out from battles with these browsers, and I'd rather have it where they want to integrate it because their end user is asking them rather than us as a protocol or a company or whatever telling them or asking them. Because when we go and ask them, they want us to give them something, But if the end users ask them, it's a feature request that the users are asking for. So I just think we got to build as much as we can on here. I'm not as a talented developer as many in the community, but I put this content, like these recordings, are on Handshake.mastermind. I don't have it on a centralized host for this one. And the funny thing is, the index in Google HandyCon event, the first one I purposely didn't want on a Web2 domain, but I kind of got convinced by the community it's better for people. So we have it on both handshake.conference and handycon.xyz. But, the idea is when there's content that's really good that only can be found on these sites. But of course, even us as a Handshake community wants to be on Web2 domains still because the users are there. So it's kind of almost hypocritical in a way. But yeah, the browser stuff is just a really annoying hindrance, because I guess that's how browsers make money. Browsers make money from, and I believe from, I'm not an expert of browser business models, but they don't make money from the user. I think they make money from the integrations. Just like, MetaMask probably wants money, all these guys, all these companies, seems like they monetize by the integrations. So they say, hey, you want to get support of your system? Here's our rate card or here's our proposal, and it's not a small amount. I think a lot of them are hundreds of thousands or more each, and we as a community prefer the decentralized route. But yeah, I mean, that's the short answer, but it's a little bit discouraging. I do agree about the browser integrations, but I still like the grassroots model where they can't ignore you. But of course, like you said, that's the hard one because it's hard one, and you got to be more patient. And and then a lot of the unstoppable domains, people like that Unstoppable raises millions of dollars from VCs and just pays Brave and pays Opera and pays these companies and saying that's the way. I of course don't agree with that, but Handshake's the other, more of a grassroots project and approach.
I agree with what you're saying there, and there will be a general move towards it as we go forward. I mean, definitely governments are not liking all the free speech and sharing of ideas and sharing of catching them when they're lying, etc., and ruining their narrative control. So it's all going to move to more and more control, which will push people towards decentralized. But in my mind, absent any kind of other catalyst, knowing just the speed at which people take these, move to these new technologies, I don't know. That's like a 25-year program in my mind before there's any real movement
I mean, I'm reading
without
a
any
new
other
book.
catalyst based on what you're saying.
I'm reading a new book, not a new book. I'm reading a book for a second time in response to this AI explosion called Opportunity by Eben Pagan. I highly recommend it. It came out in 2018 or 2019. I read it when it first came out, but now I'm reading it more than ever, even deeper. And the point of it is called, I forget the exact analogy he gives, but he says, I think it's lotuses covering a pond. And when a lotus grows, it's exponential growth. So at the beginning, you don't notice exponential growth. It's like 1%, 2%, 3%. But as something, it covers the whole pond in 30 days, if it covers the whole pond by doubling, you don't even notice it. It'll only be like 20% covered on 75% of the, 3/4 into the month, the 30 days. It will still not look like it's covered the pond, because the last 3 or 4 days is when the exponential happens, when the doubling, basically the last day is when it goes from half covered pond to 100% covered, because it doubles. So something doubling every day or a certain rate compounds so much that you don't notice it, and then all of a sudden it happens. And I think that's happening with this AI, and I think the government's not going to like what AI can do, and I don't think they are going to like that we have decentralized finance, and then people are, I think it's going to accelerate. I think there's going to accelerate of the censorship and control of the current, I'm kind of deeper into Buddhism now, and maybe I've been in Asia too long, but there's something called Shambhala. I don't know. I'm living more way out there, but I really believe the world is going to another type of a society. And I believe it's leaving behind the current financial and leadership systems of government and money. And I don't think those powerful, World Economic Foundation groups are happy about the way that's going. And they're trying to control it or position it, or, I read an article somebody shared, the World Economic Foundation, whatever, WEF, is trying to tell Bitcoin to go to proof of stake. And I'm a fan of Ethereum, but I'm not really a fan of this proof of stake as I study all this stuff. And it's because it can be censored. And there's OFAC, OFAC. You can look it up, or SkyInclude.com/OFAC. And they can censor blocks on the blockchain through the validators. And validators are just basically rich people that have a lot of ETH. So it's like the rich people can basically control us. And I don't think that's decentralized. So, I'm kind of rambling, but the point is, I know you can say it's 25 years, but I think we're in acceleration of this. Like, I don't even know this Andrew Tate guy, and I know women don't like him, but I think that he was kind of positioned to look like a bad person based on the powers that, maybe he's done bad things. I don't even really know. But I just think he messed with that Greta woman and maybe he did say some inappropriate things, but the next day he's gone, like that's scary to me. Whether I agree with these certain people that are a little bit maybe out there, to just be able to get like kind of taken out in a day, it's kind of scary. And I think we're going to see this more and more. I don't think this really happened in the past. Anyway, I'm rambling, but I just feel like it's going to accelerate. And I feel like, and then what's going to happen is maybe Brave and Chrome and Firefox don't adapt. But, we have a Beacon browser, and there'll probably be other browsers that'll be totally built for the decentralized internet, and people will just install that browser. Why do we, it's not that hard to move off Chrome, I remember when I downloaded Chrome for the first time when it came out in 2007 or something. And people were like, oh, it's faster than Firefox. And then I just said, oh, yeah, it is faster. And I used Chrome. And then people started using Chrome. I don't see it's that hard to get people to switch off a browser if it's better or has access to stuff that's not accessible on other browsers when there's stuff on there. So yeah, it's more grassroots, but I still don't think it's going to be like 25 years. I think it's going to happen faster, and then people will be like, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I buy these or use these or adapt these? What? Because people were saying it's going to take too long. It's going to be a long time. But I think it's going to happen faster.
I think there's a possibility for that for sure. I mean, depending on what happens, the more the governments overstep, the more likelihood, you can see a quick change. And definitely, if we can all focus on one browser, say Beacon, and start using that, and then the other browsers see that it's getting market share, and then all of a sudden that's another situation where they're forced to switch, or because they're losing market share and they have to integrate because Beacon's growing. That's definitely another path.
Yep.
For sure. I just don't know how you get the, more than us few HNS people to really latch on to that,
I think my own gut feeling is there's got to be like a social network that's built only on decentralized web. I mean, literally, I was having this Sunday, I was with my kids. I have 2 kids. I was at a restaurant here in Chiang Mai, and I randomly some guy's watching YouTube, and he's watching, oh man, the guy's name, some kind of radical speaker that's been deleted on platforms, and he's talking about Rumble, and I don't even know what Rumble is, but the guy's, I'm literally sitting at a restaurant on Sunday, and he's already saying he doesn't trust the government. He doesn't trust, this guy doesn't know about crypto. This guy doesn't know. He's a dad like me. His daughters were playing with my kids. He has to pay my, and he's talking about Rumble. And I'm like, I don't know what Rumble is. He's like, oh, Rumble is like the new YouTube, and there's censorship resistant and blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, I got to look into Rumble. I still haven't looked into Rumble. But I think what's going to happen is Rumble or whatever one of these social networks that says they're decentralized, that I don't think is, because maybe their hosting is, but I think censorship's going to get to the point where they're going to take more domains off. So maybe what happens is one of these kind of newer, more that are promising decentralized things gets censored because they're not fully decentralized, and somebody's on that platform that will cause them to get their domain seized or their hosting taken off. Like, isn't Donald Trump on Truth Social? Is that truly decentralized either? I haven't studied them, but that's what these are promising. And I don't know if they truly are living up to their promises. Maybe they are. I don't want to say they're not. Maybe they are, but I don't think they are. I think they're still using a Web 2 domain. I'm not sure where they're hosting, but I think maybe what happened is one of these kind of larger social networks that is promising decentralization gets further censored or starts to get censored. And then they say, oh, sorry, we got censored. We need to use a Handshake domain, or maybe it's another alternative naming, right? Maybe there are other alternatives, but they're going to start to say we need to, find us on this other domain because our Web 2 domain was taken offline, and it will say like seized by the FTC or whatever those. Some people share those screenshots of a seized domain, but that's my gut feeling, because there are more of these, like this Rumble. It's on my list to look up, and there's a couple other these decentralized YouTubes, because how many times people getting deleted on YouTube? It's really scary. There's a couple other YouTube competitors, and then I think what's going to happen is they'll get taken offline when they get big enough by the domain or the hosting or both. And I think censorship doesn't get bigger and stronger. I saw some video from Coin Bureau, like literally like a few days ago or a week ago, and he's talking about 3 or 4 different government bills around the world that are getting passed about censoring internet in like Canada, Europe, maybe US. Like, I keep seeing it, and I've lived in China for 10 years. I lived that, man. I lived the censorship, and it's sad, but it seems like the rest of the world is going to become like China and censoring stuff. And users that at least have half a brain will figure out ways to get around that.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you on that for sure. It's definitely going that way. I don't think most people realize it, but yeah, the governments want more control for sure, because they don't want people rising up against them. So
Yeah, so
they're going to clamp down.
maybe these browsers can't even adapt to decentralized internet. Do you think Brave really could be totally decentralized? I mean, government would just take out Brandon and arrest him, right? I mean, no offense to him. I actually like the guy. I know I've had some Twitter battles with him, but discussions, whatever. But these guys they're companies, right? Opera, all these, they're companies. I mean, couldn't they also just get regulated and taken over? I've seen some discussion somewhere about decentralized browsers. I don't think there really is a truly decentralized browser. Again, I'm not technical enough to really say this, but maybe we have to leave behind the Web 2 browsers as well, you know? But I don't think it's that hard for.
Yeah, I'm not technical enough either, but I think that a lot of companies are just bastardizing the term decentralized. They're
exactly
just, calling themselves that, but it doesn't really mean anything.
That's a good point. That is a good point, right? And I think, we're seeing this with, I follow NFTs a bit, and you're seeing that now with the NFTs. They could, at the beginning with the NFT craze, all projects could just say, we're going to be a game, we're going to have a Web3 game, and we're going to have a marketplace, we're going to have all this. But then when there's a word, like when push comes to shove, or when the grass hits the the rubber hits the road, you can't keep bullshitting people, right? After years. So these ones that are claiming to be decentralized will either have to really become decentralized when they're tested by, when they're tested to be, or they'll fail. So they either pass or fail. It's going to, over time, they're going to be tested. And I think we all can agree, obviously we're mostly here on Handshake, but we all can agree, I think, unstoppable domains are not unstoppable. And, the government can just dial up Sandy Carter and pay her some fee and put it in her bank account, and she'll just turn off a domain, and her switch, I mean, whatever. That one is not decentralized. So anybody putting stuff there thinking they're safe I wouldn't believe that, So I think it's true. I think just like NFTs, I think there's always decentralized domains and hosting. But when this really gets tested, I think we'll see who can pass or not. That's a good point. All right. Well, we're at over an hour now. I'm still extremely excited about this. As maybe you can tell, I love the grassroots part of it, but of course the grassroots means it's going to take longer, or it's going to be more painful or more harder. But anything that's worthwhile is usually not easy. And we will maybe the HandyCon can be another example. We'll show the whoever wants to watch or tune in all the amazing things that are being built here, and hopefully that can be a way. So of course everybody here is welcome to be in a panel or on a speaking if you're working on something within Handshake or in this space. Again, the plug is March 8th, 9th, and 10th. They'll be, again, mostly online, but we are working on chapters. Seems like Noel's going to step up again in Austin. He's great. I'll try to put something together in Thailand. I think there's discussions about London, so you can meet up in some local chapters and have a screen with the show on the screen and networking is the idea 2 months from now. And if there's no other questions, I see some really amazing people here tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. You're welcome to please. I saw one come up and drop off the stage. I don't know if it's a technical issue, but we welcome everyone here. We do have some kind of protocol about the length of speaking or the different parts, but we're trying to be as inclusive as possible here. So thanks for tuning in. Unless there's final words, Dean, do you have anything you'd like to add, or Legit or Ann? All muted.
I did have one thing. This is Kirk from Legit. There was a discussion happening just a couple of weeks ago, and it comes up every now and then about just sharing what people are building, or what sites that you know of that are Handshake sites that you like or that are working. And I think the more that we share those things with each other and promote them in and out of the community, the better it is for everybody. So if there's a Handshake site that you have or that you go to and use, just share it out and get as many people to know about it as possible. The more that we share how this is being built and how you can use it and how you can enjoy it, the faster it's going to grow. So if there's a site that you like, please post it and share it, and so we can all help this to grow faster.
Yeah, it's a great point, Kirk. You know, I've mentioned a few times, but Noel's done amazing things. I think for .tx, he did a 30 sites, 30 days challenge. I think that was November. I'm not sure if that's I mean, of course it's on Twitter, but sometimes with Twitter it's hard to like find stuff. But it was really amazing, and there was always some kind of new website showcasing a .tx domain. Of course, there's obviously more than TX domains out in the internet, but I think that was a really effective one. And
Yeah, that was great. And he funded that all himself, I believe, too.
yeah, I know
Really
he's
nice of him.
really working hard. But yeah, of course, I agree. Sharing, maybe we should make a hashtag or some kind of a way to track those because I know there's just so many being shared. And then I see some new person come into a Telegram group or to a Discord or whatever asking, can I see sites on Handshake? And there are a lot.
Right.
Also, some good news is HNS Search. Andy, I believe, is one of the main developers. He seems like he's getting back active. I forgot to mention that, but he made some tweets recently about getting things maybe kicked off again. But HNS Search is a great search engine. I know he was reviewing some of the tech, but I saw him recently tweet. I think it was just even a few days ago. So I'm really excited for that. But yeah, it's a good
That would
point.
be great to
Just
have.
share it out. I don't want to commit to trying to keep track of all of them in some kind of website because it's hard to keep track of these sites, but I wish there was an easy way. I know there's a wiki for Handshake, yeah, but yeah, I mean, if there's some easy way for people to submit, you know, anyway, but that's a good point. Yeah, please, anyone share. We should try to think of a way to pin those or track those better. I'm thinking about it right now.
Yeah, I want to make a list. That's one of the things I want to add to Legit is, basically just a list of active sites. And so I'm going to try to be putting that together. So anybody who can send any over my way, I'll be glad to add them in.
I mean, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I have at least a couple hundred sites on Handshake that right now. We did it like 2 years ago. The only thing is they're ported because I have about 300. Company has about 300 websites with traffic, not just domains. So we ported a lot
Do
of
you
them.
have that listed anywhere that's accessible? Like, do you have a link?
They were kind of dominating HNS search for a while. Everybody searching something. I don't know if I have a list. I use various TLDs that I have, and I made subdomains on them. And actually they're at Varro Domains. I used Jordan's service to help me with the DNS. But essentially, they're content sites, right? I have a lot of like affiliate sites, e-com sites. So we just ported them over. They're not like, but yeah, I mean, they're each sites. I should have a better list. And I don't know if we have a list.
Because I think with that, with HNS NS on iPhone, you download the app and change some settings, and then any browser that you're using makes Handshake accessible. And so with that and a list of places to go, I think that new people would find that really exciting. Somebody who doesn't know their Handshake exists, that would be a great introduction. Because right now they can set it up, but it's hard to find out really right now where to go, what sites are available.
Well, I do think the HNS search, if he brings it back, it was helpful. I mean, it was a full search engine that only indexed Handshake sites. But
Yeah.
I think what he was saying was there wasn't many Handshake sites, or he was making a page builder because I think a lot of people didn't know how to make a Handshake site and wanted to. So I believe Andy was, I don't know if he's still, but it was very early, right? And there was another one, Yahoo's Knee. There was two search engines, but they both stopped offering it for a while. But it's a chicken or the egg, because if the content's, what comes first, right? Because if you make a good site, but then people can't open it or find it, that's the tricky part.
Right. And everybody keeps saying, like there's one thing that's going to come that's going to break through, and people who are outside the Handshake community are going to want to have access, and that's going to bring in a lot of users. And the more things we can communicate and share out, the faster that's going to happen.
Yep. All right. I think that's a great way to wrap up today. Thank you everybody for choosing to hang out with us. This is recorded, will be posted onto Twitter Space organically, but also on Handshake.mastermind, which is a Handshake site. you need a Handshake to open it. And I think that's it. Thanks, Kirk. Thanks, Dean, for coming up. Thanks, Anne, as always, for being our trusted person. Also, Varro Domains is pinned up here. You can now manually renew your SLDs to add years to your expiration. So I think that is a feature like if you want to lock in that lower price, or you think the price is going to maybe increase, is you can just do 5 years or longer, which is a cool one. I've staked a few with Varro too. .mastermind's there. I think it's a little bit expensive at $39, but grab it there. And all right, I think that's it. Or am I missing anything? Let me see if there's comments here. Oh, maybe I'll break. Oh, I see Jordan talking about making a browser. I'm missing these tweets. You can see Eskimo. I'll make a browser, gain probability, and handshake support once there's users. Okay, and he's working on something really cool for HNS, which is a great app on iOS. Unfortunately, I'm an Android guy, sorry. But I really appreciate what Jordan does, that he's working on something. Just literally tweeted that while we are there. And then Nathan.Woodburn said, PS plus Dane, which is a handshake TLD, just put in HTTPS//plus DANE Dane / has a list of SSL sites. Awesome, I'll check that out, Nathan. Actually, most of the sites I have are on SSL. And then dot.lgit says, which is speaking, HNS and NNS is a great iOS tool to make Handshake accessible. Okay, and then Erwin.Grown, greetings from Adelaide, Australia. Happy New Year. Definitely Happy New Year. These are all tweets on the thread of this meeting. And just next time, don't be shy, everybody. You can come up on stage. Thanks for those who did. And let's keep pushing. 2 months till HandyCon. That's going to be a big one for us. And any ways people can contribute, speaking, of course, sponsors would help. Sharing the word. We'll have a lot of different content you can share, posters and text. It will be appreciated. Of course, a free ticket as always, and we'll be pushing harder into that next couple months. Thanks, everybody, and have a great day or night.